out with Sean because I kind of know the answer to this, so it's going to be fun. How do you organize your day, and why do you do it that way?
It's a great question. I'm a creature of habit. So traditionally, and it's kind of funny, go backwards a little bit when people say the first thing you do when you get up. I traditionally don't sleep all that often. So when people say get up, I guess I start my day and laugh, if you will. I make my bed, and I know it's one thing out of the way, and everything for me is methodical. So from there, I kind of look at what I had from yesterday on my list. I'm a big list person, and then I go from there, step by step. I want to say in order of importance, but I actually have lists for lists. So I hope that answers the question. To have a game plan and stick with it and just alter it as needed.
It's the systems, right?
Yep.
Denise, how about you?
Usually when I get up, I check my voicemails and my emails, and same thing. I have a system. I have Wise Agent, and I usually go in and check who I need to contact for that day. And then I go onto social media and usually post on my social media listings or anything pertaining to that day that I might be doing. And, taking phone calls, checking in with my listings that I have. But that's kind of how I start my day.
Excellent. Isabel, how about you?
So it's kind of funny. So my assistant works Monday through Friday, pretty much 9 to 5. And so during that time, I'm pretty much, with him, and then on weekends, if I have an appointment, but we're always working on, marketing, taking care of clients, transaction stuff. But I would say probably half of my time is spent on lead gen marketing stuff.
Nice. Michael, how about you? Organization of your day.
Well, it used to be a lot of time blocking before we decided to quarantine ourselves. And then, obviously the other quarantine happened. But as far as that goes, that time blocking went out the window. Essentially, it moved to my big rocks. What are my big rocks for the day? Take care of those, and everything else kind of falls by the wayside. It's funny because I actually just saw, it was a meme, and it was from a realtor page, was that it was the schedule for a realtor right now. And it was literally 10, 15 minutes of sporadic work when you have a toddler at home. And it is every bit of 15 minutes on, 15 minutes off, an hour on, hour off, whatever they decide to do. Sometimes my days start at 4:30, sometimes they start at 5:30, sometimes they start at 1. Just depends. It just where they're at schedule wise. But I mean, for me, it's been the big rocks as far as items to get done during the day, and just where everything falls, it falls where it falls.
Nice. All right, my next question, this is going to be for Isabel because it's about marketing, and you do some really unique things with your marketing. But what's your favorite marketing strategy, and how has it served you better than anything else that you've done? Your favorite marketing strategy.
So really it's relationship building. You have to be really organized. You have to really get to know your clients and that sort of thing. But I do a magazine once a month, and that's really cool. People like that. It's personalized. I get to write 2 articles, one on the back cover and then one on the inside. And that sort of thing. But I text, call, I have people on my list to update, just keeping it personal. So a lot of my business now is referrals.
Nice. Well, that being in the magazine, that puts you out there as the person in the know. Yeah, Isabel's my realtor. She was in the magazine. Very nice. Michael, what about you? What's your favorite marketing strategy?
Well, my favorite marketing strategy, I didn't have necessarily one before. That was not my role on my team. At this point in time, what we found and we really leaned into was send out cards. I'm sure we've heard that, and I don't know if anybody's tried it, but I've really applied myself to using that. Whoa.
It's okay. Keep going.
Okay. You showing them?
No, that wasn't
me. Okay. Yeah, no, send out cards and just being able to make it more personable. Especially like right now, I was able to send out just quarantine themed cards with a little coloring book on the inside of the card, or a crossword puzzle, but just to stay, in front of people. And that's really just, again, adding to Isabel's, what she was saying earlier, was relationship and staying in touch with them and being consistent with it. And everything doesn't have to be a blanket send out card. It could be something more personal. And I've had like clients that have lost pets, and they posted, the little collage of their pets and a nice little saying. And we were able to put that into a card and give them a nice little trinket memory thing for them, and a prayer for their cat, for their dog, and just to show them that we're here, that we're caring, and we understand that they're going through. I remember when I got a card like that for my cat when she passed away, and it brought me to tears as soon as I opened it up. So yeah, it's just been really, really nice way to keep in touch with people right now while being home.
Nice. And Denise, how about you? Favorite marketing strategy?
Well, I do the same thing, relationship building and stuff, but I have just in the last probably year kind of honed in on a specific area that we've been farming, but I've kind of taken it to a new level. And so I dedicated a new website to that. I specialize in North Central Phoenix. So I opened up a new website called Homes in 85020, which is our zip code. And I specialize in specifically the Point Squaw Peak. So I did this quite a bit. So I've more focused on my market rather than going out to everyone. So kind of more honing in on what I specialize in.
Nice. And then Sean, your favorite marketing strategy? All right, you're on mute. So I'm going to try and unmute you.
There you go. Am I good there now?
Yeah, you're good now.
Thought I unmuted myself on mute. But in any event, my favorite marketing tool forever is the telephone. That's my proverbial Excalibur. I'm on that phone around the clock. But if I had to break it down for helping other agents, of course, phone, text, email, but consistency is always the tool or the key to success. So whatever pattern you or whatever skill set you like, that's probably the one you should just stick to, and just it's all about patience and perseverance, and that's really what's going to get you across the finish line. And
Yeah.
no secret, I like talking, so the phone is my go-to weapon.
Sean, I would have never have guessed that your favorite thing was the phone. Never in a million years. That's sarcasm for anybody that doesn't know Sean. He is a great talker on the phone. I love my conversations with Sean.
Ditto.
All right, my next question is going to be for Denise. How have you shifted your business to adapt in these unprecedented times?
Well, it's been a little bit of a challenge, I'll be honest. And I have a 12-year-old. I'm a single mom as it is. I have my son full-time, 24/7, especially now, 24/7. And with the homeschooling, or online learning, I should say, it's been quite a struggle. But I'm fortunate to have family nearby, and they've actually launched their own little Facebook page called TJ and Granny Rocks, where they've been painting rocks and putting happy sayings on them and putting out in the community here. So that's kind of a fun thing for them. But it has been a struggle because I had in March, when this first happened, I had 3 under contract. Well, actually 4, because one was my seller and my buyer, and they canceled. So it was really, March was tough. But I struggled through it, and so it's coming along better now. But yeah, March was a little bit of a struggle.
Yep, I feel like we're on the up and up now. Isabel, how about you? How have you shifted business? Or have you even had to?
Well, I have doing, like, instead of having the buyers come in to do, the buyer consults or strategy session, it's Zoom. I offer, Zoom meeting to set up their auto search and, go over the whole process with them, that sort of thing, to get it started. So I would say probably my last few buyers I've set up that way. And going to show houses, wearing masks and shoe covers when asked to, just being respectful of that. I mean, those little things, but really it's, business as usual.
Very much so. Sean, what about you? Have you shifted?
I believe we have shifted, and you know, Sarah, how I can best give the advice from. I believe when something happens of uncertainty, you have to change to make people more relaxed. Ultimately, you're the professional in, I guess, this field now, real estate. You want to make sure that you, for lack of a better word, answer their questions. And again, we have shifted during this pandemic from something of uncertainty. So we need to bring back the confidence and just be sympathetic to the needs of people that aren't quite, well, certain about the process.
Yeah. Yeah. And Michael, what about you? I mean, your business already kind of shifted before this. Have you had to shift and readjust during these times as well?
No, it actually kind of like really accelerated and made it very difficult with trying to maintain, you know, some kind of normalcy, but also be mindful of what's going on. And also one of the things too was my clientele kind of was slow to catch up to that as well. The real estate side we picked up and we try to do as much as we can for our clients and our sellers with, you know, tables of a variety of sanitization products for the people to use coming in and out. But the buyers were a little slow to adapt to that kind of stuff and bring their own things. And so that was a little bit different. I didn't know where to, as far as the buying side, offer up any kind of additional things for that. So that's kind of interesting going forward as far as what's asked of an agent. I mean, really, is that in our job description to provide sanitary stuff for them, and, you know, for any pandemic going forward? Like, is that going to be another thing or any kind of other situation that we find ourselves in? Where do we draw the line? And that was something too that I found with my seller, and I felt really bad because I generally tried to make her that little table of sanitization items for when people came through the home, and somehow she found her own. So it's kind of like it was a developing situation, and I've seen other sellers and listing agents offer that, or even limit to, you know, the number of people that were going through. I unfortunately did not have any listings that really had to go other than that one. I was working mainly the buyer side. As I'm starting to see the shift on my side for the listing side, I won't get to have to worry about that. I think too much now that we're seeing hopefully maybe the other side of this as far as that goes. I don't know, but you know, where do we draw the line as far as saying that I will or will not provide those things? So that's kind of been an interesting shift. And then also it's just offering more things virtually and getting comfortable with the fact of not being able to do that consultation, because that was part of my presentation, was bring them to the office so that way they know that they're working with a professional. They can see my office. They see that I'm not just Joe Schmo working with them at Starbucks, you know, and that's okay if that's your model. That's just personally not how I wanted my real estate to be perceived. So it was a little bit of a change and a shift just in my processes there. And then in addition to that, you know, everybody else's shift that we had to now shift. You know, it seemed like just like with builders and buyers and sellers, there's shifts on all levels.
Yeah. I feel like we're a great industry to take changes and shifts head on because we're always dealing with those. Just about every deal we do, things change along the way. And so I feel like in real estate, we're really great at thinking on our toes. So honestly, I think that is big in part to why we're still doing what we're doing and making it better than ever. The next question I have is for Sean again. What message do you convey about buying or selling when people seem to be fearful of the future?
Great question, Sarah. And traditionally, I always have empathy. I have empathy, and I'm always trying to be kind and understand that when a client comes to you for a service that you're the professional in, you need to take it almost from the beginning and work at the pace and the level that they want. And I know that sounds almost cliche to say to yourself, it's all about customer service, but ultimately, and I say it over and over, the more you help somebody, the better they're going to understand that you're on, for lack of a better word, their side, and moving step by step to a transaction that we may have done dozens or hundreds or thousands of, maybe their very first, you know, trip out there, and you want to make sure that you truly work at the pace that they're comfortable with, not faster or slower, but right there so they're comfortable across the board. And that, in a nutshell, will keep your client your client.
Yeah. Sean, I've got a quick question for you before we move on with the same question from the chat function. Who are you calling? Your clients, cold calling? Are you calling expired?
Great question. Traditionally, one of my phones is on just for traditional new clientele. And perhaps referrals. And then on the flip side, blessed to have the support of West USA and the support of the team. Many times I'm reaching out to the team individually to see how a call or a lead or a transaction is going with a particular client that we're working on at any stage of the game. So me personally, Sarah, I try to bring in new business and nurture the business under our umbrella currently amongst the team who has that under control. I'm just support.
Great, wonderful. All right, now I'm that same question that I originally asked Sean. I know I ended up asking him 2 questions. So Michael, what message are you conveying about buying or selling when people are fearful of the future?
Oh, well, it's just keeping perspective that this situation that we find ourselves in is not the same as the last, both on what we're dealing with the pandemic, but also on what is actually happening in real estate. There's not necessarily the same financing things that are going on, which is the biggest thing. Plus the shorting of the real estate market, that was the other side of it too. There's a lot of variables there that aren't happening necessarily this time around. The main thing would be is more so, can you sell a house in this time frame, and can you help us buy? Going back to the same thing about where we were with the market, we still find ourselves in a short market as far as inventory goes. And any kind of buffer that we build up now, at what point do we see this metaphorical kink in the hose unkink? And then all these buyers come through and eat up all that inventory that we just had, and we're going to be back in the same spot. So I mean, unless we see some kind of vast exodus of sellers from Arizona, I don't know where we would be as far as inventory wise on the other side of this. So I feel like we would just be back in the same thing where we have 6, 7 offers, 10, 20 offers, depending on the house. I think that's the main concern here, is still where inventory is going to come from.
Yeah, absolutely. Denise, what about you?
I think the same thing. I think we just have to reassure them that, that it is just a kink of the chain, and rates are so low. If you can get them, they're so low. I have a lender friend that just locked somebody at 2.8 yesterday. So, you can't, they're historically low. So if you can buy, you should buy, I think. But.
Nice. And Isabel, how are you conveying the message about buying and selling?
I think a lot of sellers are worried about putting their homes on the market right now, at least the ones that I've talked to. And I tell them all the time, we have buyers that are waiting for homes to go on the market, and, we're taking precautions when showing, but I mean, we are definitely still in a shortage as far as inventory goes. So I just reassure them, the nice thing about right now is you don't have much to compete with. And we're seeing homes go under contract quickly. So there's not a lot of showing, not a lot of days on market. As long as they're priced right, clean home, looks good, we'll get quick offers, and then no more showings, do the inspection, do the appraisal, final walkthrough. So, I mean, really, it's a great time to list your home if you're thinking about selling, because we definitely need the listings.
Yes, we do. All right. My next question is going to be from Michael, because I loved how he touched on the sanitary kits and all of that. So how are you staying top of mind with your clients while practicing social distancing?
Well, I think it's just been leaning into the phone calls, like Sean was saying, and send out cards, just staying in touch. If there's a need, if I can, since I am out and about, if I can help them with, early on it was toilet paper, or paper towels, or any of the basic things that we would need at the early time, was just anything that we can do to help with that. I mean, that was the biggest thing. And now at this point, it's just kind of staying in top of mind and keeping in touch. I mean, there's not really much past that since we're just all sitting at home. So
Okay. A little bit. A little bit. Isabel, how about you? How are you staying top of mind?
So I started doing a lot of Instagram posts, and I recently took a class on Instagram, and then I paid for one-on-one coaching just to, kind of up my social media presence, because really didn't even know how to put a post on Instagram about 6 months ago. So, it's really cool. You just share your wins, share your successes, and then also it has to be equal amount of personal stuff, walking your dogs, things that let people see you as a real person as well.
Yeah, I called you the other day and I was like, I loved that post of you walking your dogs the other day. It had nothing to do with real estate, but I saw it and
I know.
it just made me think of you. So I was like, well, I'm going to give her a call. So if it works for me, it's definitely working for your client.
I know. I could put a post that appraised full price, sold in one day, and I get way more comments on the ones of me wearing a funny hat walking my dog.
Yep. It's
So,
science. It's science.
Yeah.
Denise, how about you?
Yeah.
What are you doing to stay top of mind?
A lot of the same things, social media, healthy and safe. Is there anything I can do for you? Not real estate related, and just kind of that thing. And then now it's more of this, and definitely kids and dogs and cats, they get a lot more response than just listed or just sold. But yeah, it's just a lot more social media.
Yes. One of the comments in the chat was stories. Post your stories every day. And that's in Instagram, Facebook. People love them. They love seeing it. Post your videos. It's a great way. It's a great way to stay top of mind. All right, Sean, besides the phone, what are you doing to stay top of mind?
Traditionally, it's social media. And I think when things shifted, when anything shifts, you want to shift with it. And sadly, the pandemic did what it did, but it also brought people together more. And I don't really know. I haven't had time enough to look at the statistics yet. But my guess would say that social media has more people were on social media over the last couple of weeks and or months. So I kind of downshifted in one area of marketing and upshifted into social media. And I think everybody answers are about the same. But the one thing I'll say is I try to be more relate just to the common people and just put out there what life is offering from what you're eating. And I'm a big fan of food. So what you're eating to, what you're doing, top movies. I think that goes a longer way than perhaps asking everybody nonstop that you're a real estate agent or whatnot.
Yeah. Hey, I already know the answer to this, but I love to hear the response. Ranch or blue cheese with your wings?
Blue cheese. I think ranch is a felony.
Ranch.
I already knew the answer, but I had to say it because I just wanted to hear the answer.
It's a Buffalo thing.
It is, absolutely. You said food, and whenever I you mentioned food, and that's the first thing I think about you is buffalo and buffalo wings. And so it's making that connection with people.
Amen.
So I always think about that with you. So Denise, this next question is going to be for you. What do you think the real estate landscape is going to look like when we kind of come out of all of this? Denise?
I think it's going to be better. I think it's going to be a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I think it's going to be a lot better. And I think, I think that we're all it's going to, like I said, I think that's just a kink in the chain and we're going to get through this. How long it will take. But I think that, people are still buying, in some cases you're getting multiple offers. Or then on another hand, I have an offer we made yesterday and the house is way overpriced, and they're not even, and it's a cash buyer. It's over 600, and they weren't even going to counter, and I was shocked. But I don't know, maybe they don't have to sell. So we're seeing all kinds of things right now.
It is, yeah, this is true. Always be prepared for anything. Isabel, what do you think the real estate landscape is going to look like?
Well, I mean, so spring is our busy season, and I honestly think once things get back to normal, people go back to work, I think we're going to see spring later, honestly, because I know there are a lot of people that are waiting to put their house on the market, which is causing some buyers to wait for homes to go on the market. So I think we're going to see our busiest selling season kind of shift a season or two.
Yeah, it's very possible. Sean, what do you think?
Sarah, as far as the shift is concerned, definitely the market has been altered with the pandemic. And what I think, and I always try to say it this way, every boxer has his plan until he gets punched. Well, if America per se got punched, you have to alter your game plan. And I think with some of the changes, you could take it positively or negatively, much like life. I personally think a lot of the things that we had to quickly alter to, virtual showings, for example, might be something that stick around. Then we can actually dial in that game plan and say, you know, we might be able to cover more ground more professionally, virtually, until it's time to actually unlock the doors of those final few houses that fit the client's need. They save time, we save time, everybody's happy. I guess a good thing came out of something negative, but you know, from the rain comes the rainbow, and that's just life.
Yeah, I like that. I hope that some of this virtual stuff stays around. I like it. I mean, I miss being in person, but I do feel like there's a place in the future to do both. And so I think it really will be kind of that dual kind of marketing. Michael, what about you? What do you think the landscape's going to look like?
You know, I agree with everybody else as far as the market. I think that the way that we go here is kind of actually what Kimberly says. The ones that are striving now are going to flourish later. You know, just like I don't know how many have been here longer than 7 years. I'm assuming a lot of you guys are, and have been in this situation before. May not be a pandemic, but it was a real estate crash, and you guys adapted and overcome there. I mean, you could even take it as far back as what did you guys do beforehand when there was the MLS or even the ability to access a lockbox? What did you do then? You went to the office to go get keys and you had pages out of a book for homes. You guys all adapted and overcome there. So, I mean, I imagine that we'd be able to take the next chapter and go from there. I think that that's really, as far as the real estate landscape, is such a loaded question because that's a very big landscape. Is it the landscape for the real estate side where the agent, the tech-enabled agent, if we're going to go more virtually? It's not something that I haven't already done. I do a lot of work at the veteran military community. So as they're relocating from state to state, we're doing things virtually. I just had somebody close a home who was in California under lockdown, buy a new build home here, close virtually. Yeah, I mean, it's not something that we haven't already done. It's just maybe more of a process, streamlined, taking that wow factor, maybe so I can go offline and not have to worry about having an office necessarily. And I use worry loosely, but as far as a different approach to it and being able to adapt to that. I think that's really where the real estate landscape question is directed, because I don't think we really know where our market will be or what will happen with our market probably for like 6 to 9 months. If I remember correctly from the Cromford report the other day, and I believe Jim was on that as well, was that there was about the 6 to 9 month separation from the actual event that happened to your actual cause and effect.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. My next question is for those of you that have children at home. So it's so funny. The last time I asked this question, I just was like, okay, so what do you do? And then one of them was like, I don't have children at home. So show of hands, panelists, who has children at home? All right, good. All right. So Isabel, how are you entertaining your children while working right now? Because this is crazy.
I'm putting them to work. I have them help me with staging and, you know, that sort of thing. But I mean, they stay pretty busy doing school stuff. And as soon as they hear me say, okay, I need some help, they, you know, just miraculously become busy. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't.
Nice. Michael, you got a little bitty. So
Yeah.
how are you keeping them busy?
Well, I've got two. I've got a 2-year-old and I've got Bella who's 5 months old. So, I mean, really, they're going to keep themselves busy, and it's a matter of just making sure that they're not jumping off all the things that they can jump off of, or I guess Milo anyway, but also him not jumping on his sister.
I was just saying, he's jumping on his sister.
Yeah. So, I mean, other than that, it's just a matter of, you know, enjoying the little moments, not so much keeping them busy, because I get to go through that with them now more so than being in and out of the office, since my office now is my home. So I get to enjoy those moments just that much more.
No, enjoy them because they go by quickly. At least that's what everybody always tells me.
Yeah.
I'll take their advice. Denise, how about you? How are you entertaining them?
You know, the last day of school, when I picked up my son and his friend on the way home, you know, I said, you guys aren't going back because we already got the message. And they were all excited. And they kind of came up with this idea in the car. They said, you know, we have so many kids in our community. Why don't we do Camp Corona? And they made up this where we have Tiffany is a chef at Enchiladas. So she's teaching cooking classes. We have a next door neighbor that's a master gardener. She's teaching gardening and taking them on nature walks. So we have a lot of single parents. So rather than me take all the kids 5 days a week, which I can't do, like maybe I take one day, another parent takes another day, another parent or a grandparent takes a day. So we're kind of all pitching in to help out. And it's nice too that my parents are around the corner so they can chip in too, but not everyone has to take the entire time off, and the kids are all kind of being watched and learning something as opposed to the online learning, which they don't really like to do.
That is an incredible idea. I love that. So where is your neighborhood? Are there any homes for sale, and when can I move in?
Yes.
Can we roll?
Yes. North Central Phoenix.
I love it.
Yeah.
That I love. That is one thing I do feel like this has given us the opportunity is to bring that community back. But it's on us. It's on us or our kids, you know, to come up with these ideas and to be at the forefront and to just make it happen. But that's one thing I love about this time. One of the other things that I love about this time is that there are just little acts of kindness like that happening in our own communities. So Denise, I'm going to come back to you because I think what you're doing is an incredible act, and what your community is doing. But beyond that, what is the best act of kindness that you have seen through all of this, the most positive impact that you have witnessed?
Well, a lot of it has to do with just being around family and friends, you know, in this time. And again, I have a friend that works in the medical community, and she was furloughed. And so her and I were making masks, and we were giving them out to the medical community. And then we have the kids in the neighborhood, and my mother has them finding all the rocks in the wash and painting like happy sayings on them and putting them out everywhere in the community. And so, and a lot of people will post on Facebook and they don't know that they're doing this, and they'll say, oh, look at the rock I found today. And it was like, it's one of the kids' rocks. But it's kind of fun, and it keeps the kids busy. And again, it gives the parents, a lot of us are single parents, and we're able to not have to take the whole week off, just a day, and have everybody kind of take a turn.
I love that. I love that. Isabel, how about you? What is the best act of kindness that you have seen?
Oh my gosh, there's a lot. I guess, you know, supporting the elderly, reaching out to the people that, you know, are the most, I guess, at risk. That sort of thing is just been great. I mean, our community does it. I see a ton of it on Facebook, and, you know, just being more compassionate and understanding, I think, has been, you know, the biggest thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Sean, what about you? This is the best act of kindness. And he's muted himself again.
Better? Worse?
Yes, Oh.
Mute again.
worse. You muted yourself again.
Still muted.
Breaker, breaker, breaker,
There you
breaker.
go. Don't touch it again.
There it is.
I got it.
It's really not me touching anything, but I'm just letting you know. But I think I've seen, honestly, neighbors being, I know it sounds funny, but neighborly. There comes a point in your life where even whatever business you're in, and I guess we're focusing this on real estate, but I'll target it into your act of kindness or just sometimes meeting your neighbors. And I know now there's a social distancing, but I think I made a post speaking about just social posts that kind of gather momentum. And it was funny, I took a walk down to the mailbox just to get a little exercise. And I can't believe, honestly, Sarah, the number of delicious smells that of cooking coming from, whether it was the barbecue or just what I'm like, oh my God, it's like the neighborhood that you think, and I won't go back to like where I'm from, but Buffalo per se, where it was just an aroma, it was a beautiful smell. And I thought, wow, people are coming together. And you saw neighbors kind of helping neighbors, whether it's passing out the rocks or making sure everybody had staples. I actually saw one other thing, and I'll just comment on it. There was somebody turned his garage into, for lack of a better word, a community pantry. It was kind of give and take as you would, whatever it might be. And many of the neighbors got to meet neighbors that they didn't know were actually their neighbors, and they got to share in that momentum. And I think when things kind of go wrong, you tend to flock together and get through those issues. And I think so far, knock on wood, we're all doing, the best we can with what we were handed.
Yeah. And Michael, how about you?
Yeah, exactly. That was the exact thing I was going to say, as far as Sean saying that the tables, the community tables, and just being there as a resource to anybody, whether it's somebody in the neighborhood or just somebody passing by, having that table out front, and then just the overall amount of kindness. I don't know if I'm a nerd, so I don't know if you see all the stuff behind me, but Ghostbusters 2, I don't know if anybody's seen it, but one of the things that was running through New York City was this pink slime, and it grew and grew and grew because of the negativity that was going on in New York City. So to see that kind of dissipate, from just the dolphins returning back to the canals of Venice, to pollution, in LA being a clear day, just overall acts of kindness and just things that just healing, I guess, is really what it comes down to. Almost kind of getting back to that old style feel, like Sean was saying, where like you meet your neighbors, everybody's friendly, everybody was a community, not so much everybody's out for what's best for them. That we've kind of got ourselves into here as a society. It seems like, we kind of like get old school, went back home, spent time with family, made dinner, sat at the kitchen table, taught our kids, their lessons plans. We really took it back to that old school feeling. So, it's just overall, we took it to not only our creativity while being home, from TikTok videos to being creative and making masks, to just being creative and doing things with our kids. It's just, again, on multiple levels, there's acts of kindness that just go so deep.
That's awesome. Michael, since you said Ghostbusters 2, you know what I want to sing now, right? Your love is lifting me higher. I cannot sing, but this is
enough beer.
That's pretty good.
So thank you all for indulging me. That was my 5 seconds of fame. All right, last question, guys. And this is the one that we're really all here for. I'm going to go to Sean. What is your advice to other agents that are struggling with their business right now?
Well, Sarah, great question. I guess you saved the best for last. And again, I'd like to thank you for hosting this. And here's my best advice I can give at any level to any agent or pretty much anybody in the business field. Nobody's going to escape the grind. You got to do the work. You got to put in the time. You got to turn it up or turn it down. And I would hope that whatever profession somebody decides to be in, they enjoy. Otherwise, it's a double grind. You have to be in that profession, and you have to do the work. But one thing I'll say as an end note is you got to keep a positive mental attitude. That's key. it's one of those things where somebody might, Sarah, have a bad day or a bad 5 minutes or everybody has struggles. It's all about the ebbs and flows of life. But if you stay your course, and I always say it much like a sailboat, sometimes it's smooth sailing across the lake and sometimes it's batten down the hatches. But if you're a talented person in your profession, again, you know what you need to get across to a safe journey. And ultimately, Sarah, that's really what the game plan is: to be the professional, stay the course, alter the sales, but it's still ultimately work. And that's the best advice I can say. It's not going to happen instantly, but I can say from the bottom of my heart, it will happen if you want it to.
It will. And sometimes too, you need a little extra support. And so I know that's one of the things that you really do embody as the team leader of the Mr. Rogers Home group is those that are struggling, they can find, a good leadership in you. And that's just what you're really big about. We talk all the time about how you run your team, and you may not have the highest numbers. You may not be number one at West USA every month, but that's because you put so much into your team. And so the Mr. Rogers team is a great team. If anybody is looking, particularly out in the East Valley, you guys are taking on people always, right?
Always.
So
Thank you.
If anybody is struggling, I know that Sean he's a great mentor, he's a great coach, and he's a great team leader. And I think that's one of the things that has gotten you, not only you, but your entire team really through this process. So, and I'm going to go next to Isabel, because on the West Side, her team, once again, is one of my favorite teams as well. So, and the way that you mentor the people on your team is incredible. So what is the best piece of advice that you have for any agents that are struggling right now?
I actually was mentoring an agent that's not on my team this morning. She called me. She's a friend of mine. We grew up together. And she said, I'm representing my cousin, and I've written 3 offers and none of them have been accepted. What do you think I can do? And I said, I can absolutely help you, based on me being a listing agent and sorting through all of these multiple offers. I can tell you what makes me want to pick one over another. So I gave her some, advice and, give her some strategies to help her be more competitive when you can't be more competitive with price, but maybe you can shorten the inspection period, talk to an inspector, write it out on the contract, inspection ordered for this Thursday at 9 a.m., 5-day inspection period. That doesn't cost the buyer any additional money, but having those little tips and tricks. So I would say if you're struggling, reach out to top agents. I know for me, I would take 10 minutes and talk to anybody that called me.
And you do that on a regular basis. And I love that. Michael, how about you? Any agents that are struggling?
Those are great points that Sean and Isabel brought up, and I would agree with them full-heartedly. It's one of the things that I'd like to add that, most people don't embrace, and that's the failure aspect of that. It's okay to fail while you're doing these things, and it's okay to fail in whatever you're trying that's brand new, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's what you do in that moment, in that failure. Are you either just going to take it as a failure, or are you going to learn from that failure and go and be successful and from what you learned in that moment in time? So it's okay to fail as long as you do something with that failure to be more successful the next time around. It's, it's like when you go to an at-bat, when you're playing baseball, you're going to strike out, or the next time you come up, you're going to hit the ball, whether that's in play or home run, whatever the case may be. But you're going to have multiple attempts, whether you take swings or you just decide to not, and that's really what I could say to our agents that are chipping away at everything, that feel like they're just not getting it done. That moment in time that you feel like you're just not getting it done, maybe that make or break moment to where you accept that failure, or you keep pressing on, knowing that you were just that close, and that by giving up, you would never saw the fruits of your labor. Because as we know, even the seasoned agents, we could stop for 30 days, but we know probably it's going to take about 90 days to get our business back up. And what are we going to do in that 90 days? We're going to chip at our process that works. And that's the other thing too, is to, and especially right now with everybody struggling or potentially struggling to find clients and having to adapt to different ways of gaining business, but it's also not trying to throw money at the problem or eliminate the hemorrhaging of funds right now. Is it really a necessity to have $100, marketing budget that's coming out that you don't even use, whether that's the amount you use or not? I'm just using that as a reference. But, whatever it is that's really continuing to work, lean into that. Why not continue to put all your time and effort into something that's showing you the results? And then you're able to then, maybe move that money around somewhere else into your star client system, whatever the case may be. But it's identifying those opportunities and moving forward past those failures and to keep chipping away at it. So.
Yes. Excellent. Absolutely. Valerie, she said she had a great comment on this. It was fail often and fail forward. I love that. And Denise, what kind of advice would you give to anybody struggling right now?
Pretty much what everyone else said. And I've got to tell you, this was my first Zoom panel that I have been on. And I was very nervous about it. And I didn't really know the panelists. So I pulled everyone up before I got on the call. And you guys are killing it. And it's refreshing to hear you guys be so down to earth and helpful. And I've been in the business a long time, but I'm not doing near the volume that you guys are doing. So you guys rock, that's for sure. And I thank you. I've been taking notes this whole time of what you guys are saying. So thank you very much.
I love that. Denise, that's going on my list for acts of kindness from one agent to another. That was awesome.
Sarah, if I could just chime in, it really is all about teamwork.
It is.
I always joke around and say that the only competition I truly have is the person I see in the mirror. Anybody can turn it up or turn it down. Just keep swinging the bat. And I think we've had a lot of great advice. You can always learn as long as you've been in the business or as new as you are. There's things that come around. You just learn to adapt. And again, I'd like to thank, I can't say this enough, from the bottom of my heart, thank you and Landmark, West USA, my team, God Almighty, my parents and friends and family. It's just good to be, to stay positive. That's the best advice I could ever give.
It is. So we've been on here about an hour. If the panelists have a few more minutes, if anybody else has any questions, they're welcome to put it into the chat. You're welcome to unmute yourself. I did record today. So if anybody would like the recording, please let me know. You can put your email address down in the comment section. I can send it out. If you pre-registered, I have everybody's email. So if you want a recording of this, just let me know. I'm happy to supply it. And on behalf of Landmark Title, I want to thank our panelists today. You guys are amazing. Sean and Isabel, I know you guys so well. I've known you for years. I love watching your business. I love the fact that I got you guys on panels. Every time I would call Sean and say, Sean, will you be on a panel? He'd go, what time is it? If it's not in the afternoon, I'm not coming. So I'm so grateful, Denise and Michael. It was amazing meeting you. I've stalked y'all as well. So getting to put personalities and names with the faces is absolutely wonderful. So like I said, if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to stick around for a few more minutes. I've got another Jell-O shot, so it's all good.
Thumbs up.
I've got a question for the panel, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely, Mark.
Okay, so I understand you got to do the work. I understand you got to stay busy. I understand that you're not going to hit the ball if you don't swing the bat. But what I'd like to hear from the panel is what worked the best when you first started your career before the referrals started kicking in. What part of lead generation worked best for you?
Go for it, Denise. With your hand.
Open houses. Sit other people's listings open. I do open houses every single weekend. And if somebody comes in and they sign in and they say they want to buy a house, I am going to stalk them until they tell me otherwise or they buy a house. So That's the cheapest thing you could do. They're walking into you. I'm sure if you're with, I unfortunately am with a small office. There's only 3 of us. But if you're with a large company like West USA or something, I'm sure, Sean, they have listings you can sit open, and that's what I would do.
Yep, Mark, and I'm happy to help you with the marketing material for it. I've got open house kits that I can provide through Landmark. And I'll go to an open house with you. I actually like that.
Thank you,
You know,
so much.
Mark, and I was going to chime in if that's okay. Great question. And one thing, and Sarah kind of put it on spot, and so did everybody on the panel. Some of the, I guess, the tried and true methods, the open houses, the knock on doors, the phone list. I know it sounds, again, repetitive, but many of those core values are actually what work for you. And and I also take copious notes on what did work and what didn't work. The last thing I'll say is, and you already did it, reach out and ask for that help, because there's going to be people that will, I mean, just this panel alone, I will always help an agent. It doesn't matter what firm, what level, it just doesn't matter to me. I'm a firm believer in helping everybody out. You get when you give, and that's just one of my secrets to success. Call me a softie, but I like to see everybody else get there.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'd like to chime in a little bit too. I mean, I think for open houses, knocking on doors, I am not comfortable with door knocking, but for invitation only, and just inviting people over, say I'm gonna do an open house from 11 to 3 and come over. Like to see you and all that, or if you know of anybody, just kind of get a little bit of that conversation a little bit as possible. And it's not really, to me, it's not much of in a way of, being a solicitor. It's more of just extending that, in the know invite, and then when neighbors come over, talk about what's going on in the market, and they may have something about their own home that they may have a different opinion from another agent that they're talking to. Your opinions and see what would may work. I mean, you may get the listing. I did one last week. I may get a listing.
Yeah, and open houses are opening back up. Like it was a little quiet there. It's a little crickets on the open house front.
Yeah.
But the last 2 weekends, agents are back at it, and there are some really great, safe open house practices that you can implement to instill comfort and safety for the homeowners as well as for people that are coming. And if you have a bad open house, don't be discouraged. Sometimes they're not good. Sometimes there's 50 people that come through, or you hear that from another agent. Well, this agent sat this last weekend and there were 50 people that came through, and then you sit it the following weekend and there's 2.
3. Yeah.
So
I know.
or none. Yeah.
And I actually enjoy doing open houses. I haven't done any the last month or 6 weeks or so, but I've done many of them, and like you said, the majority of them, I don't think I've ever had any more than 4 people in an open house. But yet I've been to open houses where I was the 50th person to sign the sheet. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's I'm gonna start that back up again.
Well, yeah, and these top producers, these team leaders that have been in the industry for so long, they are a great resource, especially for you at West USA, because they know the open house market. Like you could ask and say, hey, do you think I'll get traffic at this open house? And they'll be like, no, you won't.
Yeah.
So they know these neighborhoods. They know, like I said, they know the market. So they are really a great resource for you.
And also too, relying on your industry partners, your title, your lenders, to help you promote it, to help you, if you want help door knocking and promoting it within the neighborhood, or doing it just listed, or doing an open house, flyering the neighborhood, that kind of stuff is what we can help with.
That's what we do.
On social media, start creating the packages.
Valerie, that's a great point. And to add to what Mark said and compliment what Valerie said, sometimes, Mark, in the open houses, it's a lot with the preparation It doesn't necessarily mean you have to go like a 3-ring circus, but perhaps the night before, put out a couple signs, maybe a left, right, and across the street of the open house, maybe 5 postcards to the left, 10 across the street, 5, in other words, encompass close to that circle. Just do a little prep work for that open house. You'd be surprised how the numbers would shift ultimately at a very low cost that you put in a little preparation, other than, 15 minutes before the open house, you put 3 signs up and wonder why nothing really happened. It's kind of, no one's going to cheat the grind.
Thank you, son.
Yeah, and it is. Sometimes the preparation for these events or for, the things that we do is better than the actual turnout that we get. So sometimes it's not even about the open house. It's how you leverage that open house within that neighborhood. So, but there's a lot of groundwork. And I think one of the biggest mistakes a lot of agents make is, I'm just going to put out my signs and, 10 minutes before my open house, and I'm going to post it on Zillow, and I'm going to post it in the MLS, and people are just going to come. But there's a lot more to it.
Exactly, Sarah. And I would just add real quick, it's much like professional sports, the true great ones get to practice early, really practice hard, and stay late after practice. It's not a magic trick of how they excel to that certain level. And that's kind of like our business. You just got to, again, focus on it like a laser, and you'll learn getting knocked down is only just get up one more time. Trust me, it works.
And as Michael said earlier, there's a lot of failing along the way.
Yes, there is.
And you can really even make that a game itself. How many no's can I get today before I get my first yes?
I love that.
Yeah, I think it's Darren Hardy who tells the story about how he was just counting no's, and that's all he wanted to count was how many no's he could get today. And eventually those no's slowly turned into yeses, because that repetition not only helped him to find the buyers, but it also helped him prepare in his speech and his scripting when he was talking to these folks. So, like Sean was saying, it goes beyond just what you're doing for and why you're doing it for, which is the open house. That preparation does work, wonders on a lot of different levels.
Great point, Michael. And that's a solid point, because those no's, actually, if you look at the no's and maybe take notes on the no's, you'll quickly see what the pattern was that was the no. Those turn into yeses, and then you'll see the pattern that made the no's yeses, and continue the process with the yeses.
Yep.
Yeah, one of the things I do is, I do a video. I do a self-video that would last maybe a minute, no more than 2 minutes, and just do one feature of the house, and just talk about the home, talk about the neighborhood, and then basically at the end of the of my video, I'm here till 3 o'clock, and if you're looking to buy or sell, most importantly, 480-485-6300. Most importantly, remember, call the plumber. And it's part of my last name, call the plumber.
Right.
And so I do that part on my open house I go.
Cool.
Thank all of you so much. That's great information.
Yeah. Well, Mark, thanks for always coming on and asking the good questions. Mark he's a little bit of a newer agent with West USA, and he always asks the root questions for the new agents. So I love having his perspective on here as well, along with, our seasoned, real estate agents. It's a nice, yin and yang in these panels.
Sure.
All right. Well, if there's no other questions, I'm going to wrap it up. Like I said, I do have this recorded, so I can push it out there. Thank you once again to our panel and to Landmark Title and People's Mortgage. I think next month we're going to play
in person,
but I think we might have it in person.
Oh.
So we typically have these over at Westgate. So we're going to kind of put the feelers out there, but we usually have these the second Wednesday of every month. So we'll keep y'all posted. Look for a flyer, and we'll see y'all next time.
thank you everybody so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a great Wednesday.